Hello and welcome to IGPP Expert Talks. I'm Heena Goswami, Editorial Consultant with IGPP, Institute for Governance, Policies and Politics, New Delhi. Today at IGPP Expert Talks, we are joined by a very special guest, Professor Gautam Shroff, to discuss many issues relating to the development of AI in India. Professor Gautam Shroff teaches computer science and engineering at the Indraprastha Institute of Information Technology, New Delhi, and is a TCS Fellow. He has been with TCS Research since 1998 and served as Senior Vice President and Head of Research. Prior to joining TCS in 1998, Professor Shroff had been faculty at the California Institute of Technology, USA, and thereafter at the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at IIT Delhi. He was also the part of the first AI task force in 2017. Welcome to IGPP Expert Talk, sir.
Hi, thank you. Nice to be here.
So recently, the world has seen a major shift in AI model development, and China's DeepSeek, a frugal AI model, has uprooted the notion built by advanced AI systems that built by Western countries that AI system is a rather resource-intensive process. Given this shift, where do you see India? Despite having a vast talent pool, India is yet to produce an equivalent.
See, DeepSeek is certainly a significant technical innovation and to get excellent results with much less hardware. But it's still not that inexpensive. I mean, they still need hundreds of GPUs and millions of dollars for training and probably tens of millions for serving. So it's not like it's something that any university can just do out of the box in India, right? So the need for investment in infrastructure is still there, and I think India has taken the good first step with the India AI mission. Better late than never, I would say. Could have done it 5 years ago, but it's certainly better late than never. And I think the approach they're taking also is quite sensible. Rather than having everything being built centrally, they're looking out to go and invite private partnership, fund some startups, fund some large companies to do something and see whoever comes out with something good. And that seems to be a very practical approach, because if you then create something centralized, then you don't know where the money is going and how long anything is going to come. Like you're not sure. Having said that, there probably should be some centralized activity as well, especially for national security reasons. And perhaps that's going on. I am not aware of that. Yeah.
India has long been the IT hub of the world, and as AI transforms industries globally, how do we ensure that India also turns into an AI hub? Uh, what steps must we take to ensure that we are not just following the AI wave, but creating something of our own?
No, I don't think that we are not creating of our own. We have tremendous opportunities. We have a huge population. We have lots of uh, problems of importance to solve. We have excellent and vibrant startup ecosystem. So I wouldn't say that we are not doing AI. I think the whole world is doing AI. Perhaps what we are not doing is creating the let's call it the commodity. Now it's become a commodity platform which can be consumed by everybody, and there are only a handful of those in the world. And creating those requires tremendous investments and uncertain returns, and capital which is able to invest without looking at short-term returns. And that kind of capital is certainly in short supply in India, whether it is from the government or elsewhere. That probably capital is only available in the West, and probably only in the US. I mean, imagine private capital investing to send people to Mars. I mean, it's a 100-year investment beyond anybody's lifetime. That's not something that we are ready to do, and I don't think many countries are. So yes, model development is important, but applications are equally important. And they could be in any sector. It could be education, for example, what I'm doing, or it could be other sectors.
So there have been some calls for India to develop its own foundational AI model. Do you think it's necessary for India at this stage to have a foundational model of its own? And if an Indian startup did want to build a foundational model today, what would we need to do, or what support would it require?
Firstly, no country has built a foundational model. The foundational models have been built by companies. So there's no US foundational model. There are probably 5 or 6, right? And there's no Chinese model. There's a model from DeepSeek, there's a model from Tencent, there's a model from various others. So people are, building models for, at the moment, commercial interest. And building an AI for national pride doesn't make much sense. I think it makes sense to give support to private enterprise to explore this space because of the capital investment involved, and see what comes out, and give generous support in the form of equity, or what the India mission is trying to do. Give support in the form of centralized infrastructure, which can be given out to these platforms, to companies and academia. And of course, for national security purposes, there probably has to be uh, I would call it a secret investment in some sense, which is not open to everybody and not in the public gaze, because you certainly don't want all the counter terrorism surveillance and intelligence that you're going to be doing using AI to be going across the world, right? Or your speech analysis that you're doing on conversations of people that we don't particularly like. We don't want all that to go across the world. So we certainly have to have national security infrastructure of our own. And I'm sure, I hope that's happening behind the scenes.
While I do understand that there are no US based model, but I mean those companies are like set up and exist in US, and that's why they also prohibit military use of their models to other countries, right? I mean, so there is kind of like, I mean, yes, the foundational models are not set up by countries, but the companies that have built them do certain own, like certain sense of loyalty to the countries. For example, DeepSeek in China, or OpenAI in US. And do you think that that kind of initiative seeking, or like this, investing to ensure that, at some point our nation is first in the race, that kind of spirit, do you think is missing in Indian industry?
See, Indian industry is much smaller than the US industry. So let's not compare ourselves with the US alone. So I think there's probably one medium-sized foundational model in Europe from Mistral, nothing else. There's a DeepSeek from China and a few small models like Quen, etc. from China, but nothing else. There's no model or no AI infrastructure of the scale of a Google or OpenAI or a Microsoft or an Anthropic anywhere else in the world. So that kind of investment is not there anywhere else. So I think we have to be realistic about where we want to invest as private organizations. Private organizations will invest where they see return, and capital invest where it sees return. And as I said, that kind of patient capital is probably not there in India. The government must invest, but they should invest in something which is of national security reasons, because this technology will eventually be denied to us uh, for purposes which are sort of strategic. And therefore we have to invest. But that doesn't mean we throw money down the drain of everybody who wants to, just buy some hardware and build something for no return. Doesn't make much sense. So we have to build it for strategic reasons, and everybody will start building and AI infrastructure for various practical purposes, commercial purposes. Anyway, it's already happening. So putting the level of national pride doesn't make any sense on this. Yeah, except for strategic reasons.
True. Uh, India, like other than the challenges relating to the capital investment and relating to the, the size of industry itself, the problems that we also have is that we are too varied. We have too many languages and we are culturally very different. Like different parts of India have very different culture. So other than for national security purposes, do you think it would be even practical, or should we go down that path of thinking that we should have a foundational AI model that probably takes into account all this diversity of India, linguistic and cultural, and any other challenges that you foresee in for us, for India to build a foundational model, or like should we
See,
just focus
yeah.
on the application side?
So I think look at, for the example, let's take a look at speech, right? Uh, the speech models which are coming out of say OpenAI or 11 Labs, they are not of commercial grade use in many Indian languages. So in those languages, it makes a lot of sense to combine some of the work that one can actually use from the West, or let's not call it the West, let's look at the large models, and take small models and fine tune them on our data, provided we have our data. Now, one of the problems is data. Like you said, we are diverse. A lot of people have data. The call centers have data. The telecom companies have data, but we have also Data Protection Act. And you can't just record my call and give it for some model to train, right? Even whoever you are. So we need mechanisms to perhaps encourage people to allow their data to be used. Suppose you're having a casual conversation with a friend. Maybe there's a, instead of an election message, maybe you can have a message, would you like to donate this conversation for India AI to train a method? And that those kind of initiatives can bring public participation, generate more data. In a year, you'll have data in all languages, right? And then we can get somewhere. Similarly, I mean, we could voluntarily put cameras on the dashboards of cars and generate driving data. If it's a national initiative and some good political will and political advertisement is there, people may just do it. So we have to bring people's participation in to generate data, which is then made open so that everybody can benefit from such data. Academia can benefit and private companies can benefit. I think it'll help the whole ecosystem. But again, the core models are only, they're tools. The magic is in the applications. What can you do better in health? What can you do better in agriculture and certainly in education? What can you really do better? Because the opportunity of not having teachers in primary schools is and being able to replace these with people who speak local language, local dialect, not people, but AI on a phone is tremendous. Somebody has to do all this, right? So this is the, government is not going to do it. Government will only enable, will only fund, will only encourage. And that's something that finally we have realized that just doing everything centrally doesn't make any sense. We just have to encourage private players to do it. It's happening. It's been happening for a few years and it's happening more now.
Many experts also argue that for AI development in India, we need stronger private-public collaboration. How do we get industry and government to be on the same page, and what steps should be taken to ensure that they complement each other's efforts?
See, I think there are a couple of things. Private-public partnership, what we call today in India, really just means tenders. Something is outsourced to a private company, whether it could be a large project like GST or passport or something, or it could be a AI initiative for in some district. That should certainly happen. And I think now with the India AI mission and other initiatives, there are more funds available. There's a national mission on cyber physical systems, for which I'm a part of the committee, and we've given out, the 3,500 crores over 5 years. 300 startups have been funded. So all that is happening. However, the process of those startups have been funded, but for those startups to get a contract with a ministry which is doing something in Jharkhand requires 3 tenders, L1, GFR. Those hurdles a startup can't do. And a startup, frankly speaking, cannot invest and get paid after 2 years. So, the government is not good at paying people. Okay. So some of these frictions have to be reduced. That's one, with dealing with startups. And A lot of product companies have been funded by the government, but product companies can't implement solutions. You need to also implement solutions with the help of niche uh, services companies in the AI. One of them I'm working with. And so, I mean, we need to get people to say deployment is also important, and it won't be a large IT company is going to deploy something in some small district because it's not big enough for them. You need a lot of these services startup to do that, right? And we need the government to start giving out small projects to people who can actually deliver. And the second, and that's where my internship thing comes in, is look, there are opportunities, but who's going to imagine the opportunities? Right. I don't think every bureaucrat who's got busy with files piled up to his head and takes them home, it doesn't have the time to think so much about opportunities. But the young people in the country, as you say, are hungry for experience. They have the enthusiasm to think about opportunities. So the line ministries, the districts, the IS officers should give out, should opportunity say that look, come stay with us for 3 months in the summer, imagine some opportunity, make 10 projects, 20 projects out of 20 interns. Out of them, two may be useful. For those two, which then go and get a services company or a product company to come implement them. So the idea of that we can think of everything ourselves as government officers, that should go. The young people will be thinking. Give them the opportunity to come, see, work with them. They are very inexpensive. They just want the experience after all. They don't doesn't cost anything to hire an intern. Give them the opportunity, they'll think, they'll imagine, and they'll do something. There's a lot of hunger, and we should empower the young people to do that.
How about the role of universities and research institutes, which in West, especially in the US, have played a major role in AI development? But in India, we see that their impact is rather limited compared to industry-led research. What changes do we need to make
Yeah.
Indian academia to ensure that it can make a stronger contribution to AI innovation?
See, AI innovation and AI technology are two different things. Okay. To contribute to AI technology, you need very strong PhD programs. And PhD programs means the top students have to be in India. Very few of them stay in India. They do their PhDs abroad. I can't blame them, right? There is uh, the ecosystem that is provided, the funding which is provided, the lifestyle which is provided. That's what people go for. That's what I went for, right? But there is another opportunity, for the much larger opportunity. It's on the innovation side. So there, I think there is a lot of opportunity for us to get young people involved with real problems where AI can be used in very innovative ways. The line ministries, the government, the NGOs, the private parties, they all should take, I mean, the government has said we are going to support 1 crore internships. That's not to get people jobs. That should be to get ideas out there in the world which will make a difference. Jobs is just a byproduct. Those 1 crore being interns, and I think 8,000 now been selected out of the 1 crore. I mean, even if there are 10,000 bright people doing something interesting rather than sitting behind a desk and saying, I've got an internship certificate from XYZ company, and so I'll get a job. It's more important that the guy does something innovative, interesting, passionate, right? Than just saying, okay, I got an internship, which will help me get a job. No, it's more important to do something, let the young people flower, right? And for that, one has to just open things up, open your doors, let them in, right? And I think that's a big opportunity. And the role of the universities is huge there, because universities have to give BTech projects, BTech thesis, MTech projects, MTech thesis. Right now, a lot of those are giving MTech projects, BTech projects, which are not very, I mean, they're like, somehow you do something, some little demo which is sitting in your university and not of any use. And you should say, okay, what real problem are you going to solve outside, right? And give that. And that practical experience will help them find a job, will also do some useful thinking for the government and for somebody else, and will benefit everybody and throw up a lot of ideas which can then be implemented.
I feel in India, we also need to change our thinking around employment, job, and education. And I think we mistake and equate education to lead to a job and employment, and that is all of it. I come from a place where, like, you still need a government job to be able to say, oh, I've done something of something substantial in life. And a job can be like anything that does not really matches your talent, your potential, and the skills you have garnered in life, as long as it's a government job. And I feel like, I mean, we need to do a lot of awareness and education campaigns even relating to that, to change that thinking. I mean, I see engineers applying for UPSC, like, and I don't understand that if you were going to do UPSC, why did you opt for engineering? And I understand that there might be rare cases where people want to change streams, but you see hordes of people just, I mean, shifting to a run of the mill job just to ensure that they have employment, or like a sarkari job ka thappa. But I'm sorry, I'm getting a
But I
little.
think there's a lot of opportunity there. For example, universities have slightly vested interest in keeping people longer so that they can get more research work done, publish 2, 3 more papers, which will go from one library to another library, right? Instead, you can keep them on board and give them some grant. Government gives them some entrepreneur and residence grant. Spend the 2 years, try to start a company. We'll support you. We may not fund you too much. We will keep you going. A job replacement, let's say. Right. And after the 2 years, you may get a job or you may do something else. But if in those 2 years, out of 100 people, 5 or 6 create good companies, it's worth it. Right. So we should really give people the chance to do exciting things. And I think the faculty can play a role to guide them. In fact, many of the internships that we do, they're guided by faculty as well. So I think they play a role, but it's very important to also solve the practical problems in playing the role. And my experience in industry has been, if you solve a practical problem, use technology, the publications will come, the papers will come. If you start from the paper, nothing of practical use will come. Only the paper will come. But if you start from the problem, both will come.
You have highlighted some of the challenges relating to development of AI in India. Now, if we map India's AI journey, what are some of the immediate hurdles that we need to clear, and some long-term challenges that we need to prepare for to stay a part of the race, even if not ahead in the race, then somehow like maintain ourselves in the
I
race?
mean, the long term is very clear. I think investments have started. Long term is probably long after I'm long gone, but I think it's really going to be the semiconductors. I mean, we just have to be building our own, and that's already started, but it'll take another 25, 30 years before it really goes anywhere. I think the second thing that we probably need to do is uh, build up much more sort of an ecosystem of new ventures, new startups, new innovative ideas, deep tech startups. All that not just requires capital, it requires accelerators. We have very few accelerators. We have a lot of incubators. And if somebody wants to do a startup, then they can do it. But an accelerator says somebody is bright, he wants to do a startup, but he doesn't know what to do and how to do it. And today, I think we have enough entrepreneurs in the country who can spend a little bit of time to mentor, maybe give a few lectures in such a accelerator, and sort of encourage people, give the youngsters to say, okay, this is how a startup is done. This is what you can think. This is how you can go and try to find problems to solve. And you need the funding that, okay, if you spend a year here, something interesting may come. Worst comes to us, you get a good certificate, you did this, you did something useful, and then you're much better suited for practical work and employment, right? So we need more accelerators. We have enough incubators. That's sort of a little short term, but sort of medium term as well. So that'll happen. It'll take years before it happens.
Thank you so much for joining us today. These are all